Hola hermanas y hermanos. Today we are introducing our new chapter of podcast called En la Máquina. In La Máquina we will discuss with all the expert people working in the coffee supply chain more related to coffee roasting machine and coffee espresso machine. Today let me introduce to Marco Purini. He is the coffee team coordinator of Accademia del Espresso in close to Fiesole. We are in the hills of Florence, amazing place. So Marco, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Really nice to meet you here.
Thanks a lot. And we also have Rafa Morale, the director of Maretara Coffee, green coffee importer of specialty.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank
It's a big pleasure to be here.
So let's start a bit with describing the history of La Marzocco. It's we all know the brand of La Marzocco, but specifically what was La Marzocco at the beginning and what is today.
Of course, La Marzocco didn't start as an espresso machine manufacturer company, but it always worked in the metallurgic industry. Then, of course, during the years, Piero Bambi, who's one of the founders of La Marzocco, really thought that espresso needs an improvement. So that's why it focused a lot on the espresso machine manufacturing company. And of course, during the years, La Marzocco really improved the machine, not in order to improve the product itself, but more in order to improve the quality of the espresso served. That's why actually La Marzocco during the years created few technologies that actually are still present nowadays, like the double boiler, like the saturated groups, that really helped the barista to improve the quality of the cup. Then of course, thanks to even new technologies, like for example, the pressure profiling, we actually been able to achieve tons of different results, even starting with the same, raw material. So starting with the same roasted coffee. So that really helped the barista to improve its flow and even to improve the quality of the coffee they were serving in the coffee shops.
So basically your aim during the years was always improving and making life easier to the baristas, also with a quicker service to get the best experience ever to the customers, right?
Exactly. That's actually there's one of the models that are actually still available on the market. There is the Strada, where the Strada has been designed together with barista in order to make sure that the machine were meeting their needs. So in order to make sure that the barista will fully, happy about the machine itself. So it was helping them.
As you mentioned, La Strada, I think Rafa had a question about the machine.
Course.
Yeah, the main question is like when you have a machine like Strada, how you manage the information that you give to the baristas to understand how to find the best profile for each coffee.
I think it's a really great question because I would say it's really difficult to give general rules because actually each coffee is completely different. Even if we are talking about the same processing method, there we have a lot of different uses, changes depending on the origin as well. So I would say overall, the experimentation, is key overall. So for each coffee, you need to experiment a lot to understand which pressure profiling, for example, can fit that bean, that kind of coffee. But of course, you have some general rules, and even on our side, we learn about some mistakes we did in the past. So something that actually we've been checking during the years is that the previous model of the Strada, so the Strada EP, didn't have the proper technique to replicate the same pressure profiling, in a really consistent way. So that's why in the new Strada that actually we released last year, we improved that using what is called smart saturation. So we make sure that the basket is completely fulfilled in order to replicate the same pressure throughout the whole extraction. But in order to have a proper extracted espresso using a pressure profiling, the best way to experiment along with that.
And you think that's gonna be possible in future to have like in the roaster machine, you have, for example, a curve that gives you like a guide for the next roast. Do you think with Strada in future could be able also to replicate one infusion or pre-infusion or the complete pre-infusion plus infusion?
Well, yeah, basically the Strada itself or the Strada X has this system where actually you can see the pressure profiling on the display. And they actually can be, the machine helps the barista a lot together with the scale. So it has this ABR system that the machine works together with the scale in order to have a properly extracted espresso and in order to be consistent. So even if you're replicating pressure profiling, you can replicate it as many times as you like, so you have a consistent result served to your customer.
Okay, and there is any relationship that you can find in data between one grinder and the Strada machine?
That's slightly more difficult, basically because each grinder grinds differently depending on the design on the burrs. So we don't probably have that match, the definition, the combination of the grinder and the machine itself. But of course, for example, if I'm changing the grinder, probably I'm gonna change a little bit the pressure profiling. But of course, I already have a starting point. So I have a point where to start with. And then, of course, what is really important in an espresso, of course, is the taste. The espresso needs to be balanced. So overall, even if I'm giving you a lot of, informations or rules to follow, you need to taste it and decide if it's, if it's balanced, if it's good for you or for your customers. So it's really important, I think, even if there are several rules to follow, so the best practices, I would call them, it's always important to have a sensory skill that is well developed, tasting the espresso, and then, while dialing the coffee, and then deciding if it's okay or not.
Okay. It was just a few questions to see what is the future of the baristas, to see the starting of the day of the baristas, because they used to have to go 30 minutes before to calibrate the grinder to see how the machines are working. So I think the model of Strada is the most evolution machine that I never saw. And I think if going this way, maybe in future can make easier for the baristas to open the coffee shop,
Well, I think it helps a lot, even nowadays. But what I really think is that, of course, the baristas still need to be trained. So they still need to understand what is dealing with. Because actually coffee, I think, is one of the most complex material that are existing on the planet. Because, of course, it has tons of different shades of flavor. It has, of course, tastes as well. So depending on how the acidity is working together with the sweetness and all those, even with all the new fermentations, you need to make sure that the cup is clean and easy to drink. So the barista, I think, in the morning still have to deal in the coffee. Of course, once the grinder, the machine is set, we always refer to micro adjustments. So nowadays, I think the work of the barista is way more eased compared to a couple of years ago. But the barista still need to do its job,
Its job, yeah. No, that's what I was thinking, that maybe with roasters you see that the roaster in the past had to have a lot of knowledge about the smell, the bean, the humidity. But now the time is giving new tools that make easier for the roasters to start the preheat, for example, to see when gonna be the right moment to start the roast. They also have curves that can put in automatic, and then the machine will auto-regulate to make this exactly curve. And I'm curious, and I'm almost sure that it will happen also with the espresso machines. And of course, La Marzocco for us is like in the top of the development. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, well, I said, like in terms of consistent extraction, we've been working on that. And I think we actually achieved a pretty good results thanks to the smart saturation, thanks to the IBR, so the communication with the scale, thanks even to I think older technologies like the pulses. So basically, even the older Stradas could replicate the extraction thanks to the pulses. So basically, the free meter understands how much water is passing through the coffee pack in order to get the same amount of beverage into the cup. And of course, if you have a really high quality grinder, you make sure that the dose in is the same of the dose out. So I think that, of course, nowadays the technology has been improved a lot, and even thanks to the IoT, so all the connection with the Internet of Things. So I think in the future it's going to be easier and easier and easier. But I hope at least that the job of the barista will still be at the spotlight, because of course the biggest issue be covering the barista role thanks to all these technology. So that's probably the issues we're gonna find in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's clear.
So very great conversation and techniques. So as we are specialty green coffee importers, we would like to ask you how has the specialty coffee movement impacted the philosophy of La Marzocco in terms of building and projecting a new project of machines?
Of course, coffee is a really dynamic industry. Like even the coffee producers really wanted to create new shades of flavor, even thanks to all those new fermentation. So overall, the La Marzocco really wanted to have a machine that makes sure that regardless the coffee you're using, the result in the cup is great. Of course, pressure profiling helps a lot, as well as, for example, I don't know if you know the lava machine. We've been, renovating the lava machine with new technology. Exactly. It's like going at the gym, more or less. But I think it's a lot of fun is that the lava machine itself, even if it's way more mechanical, but really achieve a clean, balanced, creamy cup thanks to its pressure profiling. Because of course the pressure profiling it makes a maximum peak of pressure, and then the pressure is always continuously declining. So that's really aimed to a cup that it's really full of potential, like really creamy, as said, really balanced in terms of acidity, and then of course works with most of the coffee. So with always present coffee in the market like wash and naturals, but even for the new processes. So I think the aim of La Marzocco overall is having improvement, so always serving a really good high quality cup, and of course technology helps a lot in that.
Okay, and what really impressed me recently is like your focus on the pre-infusion in each coffee machines. If you can explain to our audience what it is and how it can better improve an espresso.
So basically, pre-infusion is applying preheated heat, so without any pressure, so using the water tap pressure to fulfill the basket, so make sure that the coffee pack blooms, and then applying the pressure. This is really important to make consistency, basically because during the espresso extraction, there are a few errors where we could get into, like channeling, for example, is one of the worst, where actually you create those channels into the coffee pack where the water passes through without extracting the coffee. So you diluting the espresso. So making sure that the coffee is properly inflated, so properly bloomed, so it basically lose the gases that could lead to an issue during the extraction, is really important to have consistency. So that's why we are focusing a lot on pre-infusion, because I think consistency is key. Like if I'm a coffee shop, I always want to serve the best espresso to my customer. So having a properly done pre-infusion really helps the barista flow.
Thanks, Marco. As we discussed about the pre-infusion, let me ask a question also to Rafa about the pre-infusion and how it can be connected to the processes that Mareterra develops at origin, and how with those processes, with that profiles, it can be converted into working for a better to get a better espresso.
Okay, it's a bit hard because there is many facts that will make you have different results. But of course, when you make a processing that the structure will be damaged, this bean will be more fragile. Then when you roast, the kind of roast will be completely different. That if it's washed coffee, for example, that the structure don't used to be really damaged, it's more
Homogeneous.
so when it's more homogeneous, also give you more consistency. So in the other coffees, you can find inside of the process maybe sometimes like a blend because it mixes in the fermentation many kind of cherries. So you have in fact two kind of beans. It are the same, but the evolution of the bean was different. So you are roasting maybe like a blend. It's the same coffee, but the fermentation makes that the structure change. So it makes you have a different and more difficult when you're gonna roast. But with the right knowledge, and if you find the right roast, then when you arrive to the La Marzocco machine, the washed coffee always will be more easy to brew because in the pre-infusion, this homogeneity and this coffee used to have also more humidity, so the solubility of the particles will be always brewing almost in the same way. So it will be more easy to find the balance or the right coffee in a washed coffee. In our case, we have double wash and other kind of coffees that give you almost the same feeling like the wash when you're gonna roast, when you're gonna brew. But then if you go to the naturals, the anaerobics, the honey, in this other process is the ones that we were talking that the structure is damaged. So when these coffees arrive for the roaster, it's a big challenge if he don't have a good knowledge how to roast it. It's like experimental, like you say with the Strada. In the beginning, you have to make experiment. So like we did in the processing in origin. So then you must be experimental in roast and experimental in the pre-infusion. With these coffees, you always will have more sugars, more kind of fats that will move inside or water that will move inside of the bean. So it gives you more different smells, more different flavors, but also don't give you exactly consistency.
Heterogeneous.
It's more heterogeneous. It's good because if you find a way how to roast it in the way that you want to show to the consumers, like I want that to be more acidic or more fruity or more chocolatey. You can play with these coffees with your roast to find the way that you want. The other is this is chocolatey. You don't never gonna find more or less. But with these coffees, yes, because inside have more particles moving that have these fats. So when you roast these coffees and you come to make the pre-infusion, the solubility will be completely different in the particles. So if you know how to play with the pre-infusion, you will be able always to find the best infusion for this kind of coffee. Otherwise, if you don't play with the pre-infusion, you go directly to the infusion, you lose all the homogeneity, and you will get borned particles and others underborn. So you can find like vegetables maybe, and also you can find like born caramel in coffees that used to be exotic or fruity. So with the pre-infusion, you will find the right infusion, all the particles that you are looking for. the infusion of the particles that you are looking for in the right degrees and the right pressure. And of course, you have to make experiments until you find this. But if you don't have this kind of technology, it will be impossible. That's why I think Strada is an evolution, like other roasting machines, for the specialty coffee, or not specialty coffee, the extremely processed coffees. But I think it's just for that, for the pre-step.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how all the coffee supply chain, we work in the different steps of it, but they're all interconnected, like in the small details possible. So we've been very technical, so because we feel a bit the pressure of being here. So if you can describe to our audience where we are and what is it?
So basically, we are in Accademia del Caffè Espresso. We are based slightly outside Florence. We are like between the Tuscan hills. You know, the surrounding is pretty nice, I would say.
Amazing place.
Well, basically, it's a cultural hub that actually La Marzocco opened officially in 2021 in order to make sure that the knowledge about coffee, it's brought to another level. So the idea is helping even the final customers or all the coffee lovers to understand more about coffee. Basically, because of course we've been actually checked what's the knowledge, the average knowledge of the people, and we actually discovered that most of the people don't need to know that coffee is a plant. So we have a lot of training to do that. A lot of spreading knowledge around. So actually, this space is being created to to give people more knowledge about. Of course, it works even as a La Marzocco showroom, because of course we got all the machine exposed. But the idea of the place itself, it's more focused on coffee. So on the material that imagine that if coffee wouldn't exist, La Marzocco wouldn't exist, because of course they're really connected together. So it's a way even for us to learn more about coffee. This place work as a research center. So where we have some research projects going on, we actually have our own roastery, even if we don't sell coffee, but we usually use it for educational purposes. So for all these coffee courses or coffee tastings as well. So it's a way to give coffee its own value.
Okay. And so, as you mentioned, the research project, let's try to dig deeper into this subject.
Well, we are actually experimenting a little bit with caffeine, for example. That we all know that caffeine, it's one of the probably major reasons why people consume coffee. But we never had such a high research behind. So together with some partners, we got some machines that are able to detect the caffeine amount in both the coffee beans as well as the beverage. So we are working on that. For example, we've been doing some experiments that we already published as well on social medias mostly, where actually we've been, we finally had numbers that were saying to us that, for example, filter coffee has less caffeine than an espresso, for example. Or if we would compare a mocha pot and an espresso, mocha pot is the system where we extract all the caffeine that is contained into the coffee beans, compared to the espresso where we are not extracting all of it. So it's a way to have a full knowledge about the material we consume every day.
It's pretty interesting because I know that also Mare Terra is doing some research in the
Really?
caffeine. So maybe Rafa can explain us a bit this research that we are developing, that it will be a great tool for roasters.
Yeah, it's something that we were thinking in the past, that everyone is talking about coffee, asking, this coffee is strong, this coffee is more light. What is strong? I don't understand. No, I want something that at morning I can wake up. and you mean it have a lot of caffeine. And then we realized that Robusta have a lot of caffeine, Arabica less caffeine. So between 3 to 4.5, I think, is Robusta, and between 0.5 to 2.5, I think, or 2 is Arabica. Anyway, what we are doing is trying to have all the coffees from Mare Terra with exactly caffeine in each infusion and each roast. So we are doing like 3 different roasts, and I don't want to read more because we are still developing this. 3 kind of roasts with different kind of brews, and we analyze the solubility versus the quantity of caffeine. And then with this, you have a lot of information. You can get more or less the exactly caffeine that the coffee is gonna have with one machine and one kind of roast. So it's information that we would like to have in our sheet profiles of each coffee to let the roasters buy coffees with this knowledge. Like, okay, this coffee is the profile maybe is for afternoon, so I'm gonna put these coffees in my coffee shop in the afternoon or at night because have less caffeine and for people will be better. Or this coffee, like wake up at morning with this coffee, and looking for a good taste, but also a big caffeine. In the end, the caffeine is the bitter in the coffee. So more caffeine, more bitter. It's a science, you know.
Yeah.
And then with this information, you can give to the baristas something more useful when they are trying to sell coffee, to transmit the reality of the coffee. Because if the flavor is you have a how to say a big flavor in your mouth, it don't mean that have a lot of caffeine. You know, could be the opposite. But if it's really bitter, will have probably a lot of caffeine, or is born it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's born it, the coffee. So it's something that even with the taste you can have a relation, but if you want to find a balance between the flavor and the caffeine, you must try to do what we are doing. So it's something similar.
No, but that's interesting. You know, you're giving a tool to roaster to have.
Yeah, also for roaster it's interesting because you know the minimum maximum that you can find with this coffee depending of the roast. So it's like, okay, if I roast like this, I'm gonna have like this of caffeine in one Strada or in one simple Marzocco that don't have pre-infusion. Depending of this will impact also in the solubility, so will impact in the quantity of caffeine in each cup.
I feel very blessed to be in the middle of them, learning things. So thanks to both. Okay, so maybe in 1 year we share the results and let's see what
You
come
know,
up.
sharing results can aim to having new questions to
Exactly.
solve.
We press the data, we maybe can find faster conclusions.
Yeah, that could be, you know.
But thank you for the micro because I have a question for him. Since we work a lot in sustainability and traceability and be impacting in, like we were talking before the interview, trying to impact in the region where we are trying to produce different kind of coffees or cherries. How La Marzocco working also in sustainability about factory or about the manufacture of the machines? How is
Well, let's say that in terms of sustainability, we are working a lot on local dimension. So basically, we're working a lot with local communities. So it's well present on the.
Company philosophy.
every corner you can
Thank
see
you. Then, of course, it actually during the years worked a lot even on social sustainability. For example, the project that it it started to run a few years ago in Songwa, for example, in Tanzania, where actually La Marzocco, together with other companies, so for example, Probat or Mechanic, they actually created new bridges, new wells, new schools, in order to make sure that even the coffee producers, could live a better life overall. Of course, Songwa actually started to make sure that the La Marzocco employees could go there to see, what was happening at the origin, because at that time there wasn't so much knowledge about coffee. There wasn't so much transparency as well. So it was a way to make sure that the people were building the machines, so they were creating, the espresso machines, they knew everything that was behind the chain, because the chain is so long and it's composed by people. So I think it's even a way to humanize people in some ways, because as long as you're just brewing coffee, you don't have the same sensation that you have while you see the coffee that is, while it's produced, while it's harvested, while it's processed. So I think it's a way to, another way of sustainability overall. It's a way to make sure that the people are, how can I say, more sensible to these topics. So everything that is behind a single cup of coffee.
Great. So it's very good to know that a company such as La Marzocco, which is not directly related to origin, but you develop something with them. So it's very interesting. And maybe do you have like the project of Consenso? Can you describe it a bit? And when did you started? Where is it now? And what is the aim?
Let's say that for this project, we've been collaborated with Peanut. They actually is a spin-off of the University of Florence and Cisco. Together with them, we developed this sensor that is called Consenso. That basically it's a solar panel working sensor with some detectors. There are actually some wires that are installed into the branches of the coffee plant, of course, where this sensor analyzes the electrical stimulus of the plant in order to understand when the water needs to be watered, when probably it's occurring at a really dry season, so the stress of the plant overall. Of course, we started this project in our greenhouse here in Accademia to collect the first data. And then we moved in a bigger scale directly in Tanzania, so in Songwa and in the Utengule state, where actually we installed several sensors in order to have more data to collect. Now this project started to have around 2 years, so we started to have the first amount of data, for example, to analyze. Between those data, for example, we've been actually checked that, for example, plants under shade are, of course, less stressed because, of course, they don't have such a, the direct contact with the sun all day long. They're producing, in this direction, they're producing more sugar, so that the coffee itself is slightly more sweet. So the aim, of course, is understanding which is the behavior or understanding the needs of the coffee plant. And of course, I think it's way more and more important as climate change is occurring. Climate change is really impacting Arabica beans, for example, because of course it's way more susceptible to climate change, to pests and diseases that are actually improving, really linked to climate change. So I think the aim overall is understanding what the coffee plant needs and what we could do in this direction. So how could we help coffee to make sure that it's still available in the future?
Okay, thanks a lot, Marco. So maybe do you have any questions for Rafa to be asked?
Well, I was curious because
For Rafa, for you.
As well, as I'm in
well,
the middle.
you can both
For Mare
answer.
Terra.
You can both reply to it.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking about sustainability, so I was curious to understand to her a little bit about you. What is sustainability for Mare Terra and what you're doing in this direction at the origins?
Okay, for us, the the sustainability in the beginning when when my father started the company, was part of the base of Mare Terra. And then after see the sustainability, you can have the transparency to get the traceability. And then the product start to become more moral, you know. So since I started working, we always try to understand what is the structure more sustainable, and about sustainables about where we wanna produce the coffee, not about economy or other things. We started just with this, like, okay, they have water, they have altitude, they have na 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 na, to see if all the territory or the area was sustainable to produce coffee. This was the beginning. But then, obviously, we find, after being many different regions around the world and see many different structures of wash station, or mails, or all the different organizations that are inside of the origin, each origin, you see that they work different. They have different structure about how to move the coffee. Then when you arrive there, you learn in Colombia, for example, one structure, that you arrive to Kenya and you see that it's completely different structure, but at the end they are almost the same. Since they have the same, more or less the same altitude, the same climb, the same, not varieties, but right now it start to be more or less same variety because they are crossing. So then what you are missing in Kenya from Colombia, you already know what is, because you were in Colombia. And it happened also between Kenya and Colombia. And Kenya, why they have this? I don't know, the African beds, for example, that make you have easier dry. If we move this to Colombia, also will help to the Colombian people. So after years, we were looking how to produce coffee and be sustainable in this area. But then we saw with the time that these areas also were with many missing things. Like in some points, some of them, they were having missing the water, for example, how to get the water, the clean water, and how to put the dirty water again in the river. So in the beginning, they were contaminating everything, and we were not aware about that. We were, okay, everything is ongoing, we have the water, but we either thought that, okay, this water now dirty, where is going? So we start to see these kind of things and try to have impact, making everything better. And then we realized that now they don't have people which want to work in the farms, because it starts to be hard. They want to go to the city, and they don't have people now that is pushing the coffee farm. And then we start also to think how to manage this situation and how to improve the situations in each region to let the people improve something across with the coffee. So it's like, okay, you are working in coffee, but you don't care about coffee, but you care about other things. And so, for example, in Rwanda, we saw that were many women working there, but all of they were having missing doctors, missing information about the doctors to have the prevention for breast cancer or whatever. So we thought maybe if we start a social project about how to give information to have prevention about doctors, women will start to come more to the wash station, and if the women come to the wash station, kids also will come to the wash station, and then kids will see what is happening in the wash station, and maybe we find more future in future with them. Just to attract them, but at the same time to help them, and show them that coffee could be profitable also, hopefully more in future, because we make all processing coffee and we always try to pay more because the force that they are doing, because otherwise they're never gonna do it. But after the crop, when they get the money, it's like, okay, I'm safe until the next crop, and I want to continue working. And that is the proposal. So in other places, like in El Salvador, that now is changing a lot. Now with the new president, now the country is able to have the communities more in the farms and be free to decide the future. Before they couldn't decide. They were in the farms and the maras and they say, okay, I decide for your future. And now they can decide, and we need to show them that maybe playing football in the farms with the employers and mixing the employers, we let them, because the schools are in the middle of the farms, for example, so they have coffee trees around them, but they maybe don't look for the coffee trees. They look like they are in the school. They are not aware that. So we are trying to connect the farm with the school, putting in the middle the football. But then we we made a triangle. So we try to work more in sustainability now with workers, because we already found a way how to make the production sustainable. And now we need humans in projection.
Yeah.
Just one thing that also about the philosophy of the business of Mare Terra at origin is also building strong and long-term relationship with cooperatives and farmers. Not only like maybe it was many years ago in the coffee industry, receiving an offer and say yes or no. No, but really we make the efforts, we want the efforts from them, but then we want the relationship lasting as long, the longest possible. So, and also we need to see the increase in quality and in quantity. So this is really going at origin for us. It's very important also for this, keeping the relationship and see the improvements from both sides, from our sides and from them.
That's nice.
And also one of the things that he said, that in the past we were maybe getting offers, yes or not, but now even if we say not, saying we have the control of all the process, the cherries with them. When it's not, we can say, but if you do this, and this, you can improve the coffee. And then they do it, and when it's not, after second sample could be yes. Otherwise, in the other kind of business, you get the sample, but you don't know how they process it, where it came from, nothing. So you cannot give knowledge or try to improve what they are having to also get maybe better price. So in our case, we can do it because now we have all the communication, all the control, the data. We are calibrated in the cupping, we are calibrated in their defects. 5 years ago, for us, was like, but now it's
it's slightly more challenging.
But now it's like, come on, there is people that is in the same way like us, and also, like I told you, was to find people in Kenya was almost impossible. So now it's like, if in Kenya and Rwanda they are doing, come on, Central America, you must do it also, you know, because for us, we are in Spain. It's more easy to have connection talking with one guy from Guatemala or El Salvador or Colombia than Ethiopia or Kenya, just because the culture, not for other things. But in the end, it's like, okay, if someone from Rwanda understands me from Kenya and Ethiopia, the guy from Central America must have even better connection.
Yeah.
And now we found this way, and now it's like we start to be proud, because it's incredible that year by year they increase the volume, the quantity of the lots, and the quality of the lots. And some coffee that in the beginning start the process with 86.5, now is arriving in 88, and also with bigger quantity. So it's working. It's sustainable.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of topics. So I think at the moment for an espresso for us.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
just one thing for the audience: if you pass by Firenze, you can grab a car and then go to the hills and visit the Accademia del Espresso, which is a great experience, really. So thanks a lot, Marco.
Thank
Thanks
you
a lot,
very
Rafa.
much.
Thanks, Marco.
Thank you for coming.
Bye bye.